Smokes, what a fun hour that was. Hope you enjoyed it. We did. Every night, 8 p.m., the show that is the sworn enemy of lying, pomposity, smugness, and groupthink will be back tomorrow and the next night and forevermore. But now, Sean Hannity from New York City.
All right, Tucker, as always, thank you. Great show tonight. We have an amazing show, a ton of ground to cover. The president's attorney, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, is right here in studio for an exclusive interview. Now, the deep state is in overdrive. They are working, as we've been pointing out, to malign and destroy the presidency of Donald Trump, the person duly elected by you, the American people. Now, tonight, we're going to break down exactly why our two-tier justice system is targeting this administration. We'll show you the extreme measures that Robert Mueller is taking and others are taking to delegitimize this president and everyone who supports him. And breaking tonight, President Trump is now beefing up his legal team in order to navigate the special counsel's, well, off-the-rails investigation. In my opinion, make no mistakes, these are very scary political times in America. There are real consequences for everyday Americans. And coming up, we'll explain why one former Trump political aide was forced to sell his home to pay his legal bills associated with this witch hunt. So it's time to dismantle the deep state, hold people accountable for acts they've committed, and hold the corrupt media accountable as they are happily cheering for President Trump's political demise and completely ignoring an amazing list of accomplishments. We'll have all the latest media madness coming up and developments on the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein's efforts to obstruct Republican members of Congress from doing their job and getting to the bottom of the FISA abuse scandal, the FBI's mishandling of the Clinton investigation, and so much more. It's time for tonight's very important breaking news opening monologue. All right, so this deep state that we have been warning you about now for a long time is going all out. Now, this week, two separate major leaks from Robert Mueller's off-the-rails political witch hunt are now revealing the special counsel's obsessive determination to set a perjury trap for President Trump. Now, the New York Times released a list of questions that Robert Mueller allegedly wants Donald Trump to answer. These questions are all open-ended. They're patently, frankly, ridiculous, and they are designed to trap the president into committing perjury. Now, some of the questions even targeted the president's own thoughts. What does the president think about James Comey? What does the president think about the Sessions recusal? What does the president think about the special counsel? So let me get this straight. Is Robert Mueller now the thought police? Is it now illegal in the United States of America for a sitting president of the United States to have private thoughts? Now, according to the Washington Post, Robert Mueller has now even threatened the president with a subpoena if he refuses to sit down for an interview. Now, forget that Robert Mueller was tasked with investigating Russian collusion. And forget it, after 50 weeks, they have found zero evidence of any wrongdoing by the president. This is now a political takedown of the person that you chose to lead this country. Now, should we be surprised? Well, this investigation is being conducted by some of the same people who were totally complicit in using Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for Russian lies, the unverified Steele dossier, as actual evidence to obtain a FISA warrant to spy on an American, a Trump campaign associate, in the lead up to an election. In other words, the FBI used Democratic campaign material during an election, lied, and passed it off as legitimate evidence in order to get a FISA warrant from a FISA judge to spy on the Trump campaign. That dossier was never verified, never corroborated, has now been debunked, and they never told the judge that Hillary Clinton and the DNC, whose finances she was controlling, paid for it. It is outrageous. And this is the United States of America. Now, remember, here's the who's who, if you will, of Robert Mueller, who he hired to lead the special counsel investigation. What do we see? A bunch of big-time Democratic donors, including who the New York Times referred to as his pit bull, Andrew Weissman. Now, he's given thousands of dollars to Democrats. And remember, we have disclosed Weissman's very aggressive tactics. They have caused multiple overturns and wrongful convictions, ruining countless lives at Anderson Accounting, Merrill Lynch, elsewhere. And let's not forget that Trump-hating FBI lovebird, Peter Strzok, he helped author Hillary Clinton's exoneration before overseeing the interview months later. And, of course, Strzok was so blatantly biased, he was removed from the investigation of Robert Mueller. But then you have Robert Mueller's other top deep state Democrats. They remain today. Now, in just a few minutes, Trump attorney, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani will be here to give us an exclusive interview to discuss whether or not the president should ever agree to an interview with this band of many Trump-hating sycophants of Hillary Clinton. Now, Giuliani will also help break down the brand new charges and changes on Trump's legal team, including tonight's breaking news. Now, just hours ago, the White House announced that Ty Cobb will be retiring at the end of May, and powerful longtime Washington attorney Emmett Flood will join his legal team. We'll have more on that in a minute. But first, we have a shocking story to bring you, revealing the toll that this ongoing witch hunt is taking on real people who have real lives, and frankly, anyone who has ever worked with President Trump or on his campaign. Former Trump campaign communication advisor Michael Caputo, he recently told the Senate Intel Committee their investigation has had a devastating financial impact on him and his family, forced him to sell his home because he's incurred over $100,000 in legal bills. And during the closed-door session, Caputo told the Senate committee, quote, "What America needs is an investigation of the investigators. I want to know who's paying for the spies' work in coordinating this attack on President Donald Trump. I want to know who cost us so much money, who crushed our children, who forced us out of our home, all because you lost an election. I want to know because GDU to hell." Now, despite real-life consequences from Caputo and others associated with the Trump campaign and the Trump presidency, with literally no evidence of collusion, after months and months and months of multiple investigations, you still have your mainstream media. They're pushing forward, almost in unison, their effort to aid and abet the deep state with this nonstop, 24/7, obsessive, negative, Russia, 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 stormy, stormy, stormy coverage, and in the meantime, ignoring every major Trump accomplishment. Now, take a look at some of this week's coverage as an example.
So the New York Times is out tonight with a list of 49 questions that Special Counsel Robert Mueller reportedly wants to ask President Trump in the Russia investigation, which means as of tonight, we've now got a list of 49 things that Robert Mueller wants to know from the president about the Russia investigation.
You're saying the president of the United States goes into the Situation Room to get away from the chief of staff and call his friends?
I am told by one friend of the president's that on more than one occasion, he has been called by the president from the Situation Room. Yep.
What this tells us is that the subject of collusion, despite what you hear from the White House, despite the fact that the president 15 times a day tweets out that says there was no collusion, it tells us that Robert Mueller is not done with the collusion question.
Sources tell CNN President Trump's lawyers are preparing for a showdown with Robert Mueller. That's over the special counsel's warning that he could issue a subpoena forcing the president to appear before a grand jury.
The best argument is that the Justice Department cannot charge a sitting president. He will not be a sitting president all his life. One day he will walk outside, one glorious day, he will walk outside of those 16 acres at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and he could be then charged with a crime.
There is so much evidence in the public domain of collusion. We don't know whether any of it rises to a criminal level, but there is simply no question that the Trump administration welcomed Russia's help in sabotaging Hillary Clinton's campaign. There's none.
It's why you need a deep state. It's why you need people whose commitment is not to the person, but is to the process and the law.
Yeah, we'll forget about all of President Trump's historic accomplishments. For example, on the Korean Peninsula, we're actually talking about denuclearization. Forget about all these developments. Look what the Prime Minister of Israel did yesterday. There is a nuclear program in Iran. Or the booming economy, record low unemployment in 14 states in the United States now, record low unemployment for women in the workplace, Hispanics and African Americans, record lows. And the media wants you to believe the White House is in shambles? Not so. But you know better. And that's why, according to a brand new Rasmussen poll, President Trump has a higher approval rating in his second year than former President Obama. And by the way, you're not going to hear that in the mainstream media. Instead, the chances are you'll probably see this guy, Michael Avenatti, the lawyer for Stormy Daniels. According to Newsbusters, Avenatti was on fake news CNN a whopping 59 times in less than 2 months. And finally tonight, we turn to the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein. As we speak, he continues to stonewall congressional efforts to do their job and get to the bottom of multiple serious issues, including FISA abuse, spying on American citizens, not telling the truth to a FISA court, presenting political information, not telling the court, presenting unverified, uncorroborated information paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, by a foreign national, lies from Russia. Oh, I thought Russian collusion and foreign nationals influencing our elections were bad. Now, earlier today, President Trump tweeted, quote, a rigged system. They don't want to turn over documents to Congress. What are they afraid of? Why so much redacting? Why such unequal justice? At some point, I will have no choice but to use the powers granted to the presidency and get involved. And breaking today, Fox News has learned that some lawmakers still have not been given adequate access to the documents they have subpoenaed and been requesting to the House Judiciary Committee and the House Oversight Committees. Now, Rod Rosenstein, if you have nothing to hide regarding the department's FISA practices, why not release them? Why not release all the documents? Let the American people see it. If you have nothing to hide on the handling of the Clinton investigation, hand over the documents. Nothing to hide on the Russia collusion investigation, Hillary paying Christopher Steele, funneling money through a law firm, Russian lies to manipulate the American people to get a warrant to spy on a Trump campaign associate. Hand it over. Tonight, every single American needs to be asking, just what is Rod Rosenstein hiding? All right.